Everybody out there, my name is Ellyse. I am part of the NFT Kids Club.org organization, and we're excited to talk to Rishi today, who is also part of this amazing organization. And he's working with a charity that we're doing our first project with. So that's really exciting. And I'm here to ask a few questions so you guys can get to know him and get to know about this really great project that we're working on together. So I'll just jump right into it. Tell me about your past professional and volunteer work.
Yeah, so I've been in the hedge fund business for like 26 and a half years, right out of college. So I'm old.
Okay.
Um, it has been really an amazing opportunity to connect with a lot of very smart people. And it happens, much to my surprise, that a good number of those smart people have really good hearts too. Um, and so it's been a great opportunity to kind of merge my professional interests with my personal interests. And on the personal interest side, I have a very strong desire to see justice and to see oppression uh, be really eliminated. I'm not a big fan of one party oppressing another. And so any project where you are giving tools to the oppressed to help them be uplifted out of their lot, I'm generally going to be interested in, and that's really what connected me to Village Health Works.
How long have you been interested and involved in social good work? Did it start when you were younger?
You know, so I was a born again Christian from like middle of high school until towards the end of college. And I went to college at Berkeley, UC Berkeley, which is not known for like Christians, right? And while I was there, I was in a Christian fellowship that was, as Christians go, like on the liberal side. And so they had a summer program called the Oakland Urban Program where they would send us into some of the poorer parts of Oakland. And we would just live 6 or 8 to a house on a super small budget in a community. And then in different parts of the community, there would be different of these houses, and we would just serve the local community. So I went, and then there would be Bible studies, but they were all about what was termed by this group biblical justice, which is to say, like discussions of social justice, but in the Bible. And most of that comes in like the second half of the Old Testament and the first half, and the Gospels, really. Like, beyond that, you don't see a ton, but very prominent in those sections. So that got me really interested in that stuff. And I spent my summer tutoring kids in math and English, not doing Bible studies with kids, but like really tutoring math and English and building relationships with these families that were there that were just amazing families and had just had it really difficult. A lot of them are immigrant families or multi-generationally poor. And it was heartbreaking, but also really inspiring in certain ways. I got back to campus, during the school year and applied my new learnings about justice by starting a Bible study to help, and you have to bear with me here, to help gay kids use the Bible to defend themselves against Bible thumpers who were telling them they're all going to hell.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't have any particular connection to the LGBT community, and that's all it was back then, by the way. There were no extra letters then.
Yeah.
Um, but it just seemed like I had some friends who were from that community, and I just saw like what they were dealing with, and just felt
Yeah.
as a friend, felt the heart for them. And so that was the origins of that. The leadership of my Christian organization did not like that. But when I started to really reduce down, like, why was I a Christian? Was it because I cared whether, this guy was born of a virgin? No, et cetera. I kept stripping away the parts that felt superfluous. And what it really came down to was his teachings on justice, on social justice. And so I sort of abandoned faith and religion and sort of just really focused on the justice part.
Wow, that's
That's what
That's
you expected, right?
amazing. Like what amazing, like gateway. It's amazing where like came from and where you are now. So thanks for sharing that with me. That's really cool
Mhm.
transition to everything and really dissecting what the meaning of it was and really doing that like introspection that so many people don't do, like and wonder, why they follow don't wonder enough, I think, why they follow one thing and what it really, like what the true teachings are and what that's all about. So that's really, really great. Thanks for sharing that and being so open. So how did you get, ultimately from being a board member, like how did you find Village Health Works? What interests you about them and their mission, and how did you become a board member and now chairman of that organization?
Yeah, so I had attended a conference in Utah called Summit. Excellent event. It was in it was on a mountain called Powder Mountain in Utah, and I can't remember if it was summer of 13 or 14. I should probably figure that out at some point because I've had to tell this story like 1,000 times. Anyway, at it, the founder of Village Health Works, Deo Gratias Ni Zonquiza, Deo for short, was a speaker. His talk was held at a small clearing in a forest with no actual seats. Like you could bring your own little stool or a pillow to sit on the ground or just sit on a rock or whatever. And there were, I don't know, 15 or 20 of us who attended his talk. I was in tears at the end of it, and I'm not like the most emotional person, but his story is pretty incredible, and he's a pretty incredible individual. And I just sort of knew in that moment, like this is an important person in my life. And I'm not the sort who like goes up to the speaker afterward, but I went up to the speaker afterward, and I pretty much said to Deo, "Hey, look, you don't know me, but I'm going to try to kind of be your friend if that's okay. Like, so over the next couple of days, we're here at this conference. Like, if you want to hang out, I would love to hang out and just
Right.
like understand you, like get to hear about more about what you're doing."
Yeah.
And what struck me was he came from this village in Burundi with mud floor huts and no running water, no electricity. Uh, that was his upbringing. He went to medical school in Burundi despite having really no tailwinds. Um, the schooling there is largely rote learning, not problem solving, not critical thinking, etc. So he's a third year medical student, which meant in Burundi you're practicing medicine, and he was at a hospital, not in his village but nearby, seeing patients when the civil war broke out, and men with machetes and guns and torches and gasoline showed up, and he managed to escape. It's a long story, so I won't tell the whole thing. He managed to escape, managed to immigrate to the U.S., but was basically penniless, was delivering groceries for Gristedes, and ended up homeless in Central Park while delivering groceries, with full-on PTSD from the horrors that he had experienced, survivor's guilt, PTSD. I mean, he was
Yeah.
a cocktail of serious mental and emotional challenges at that moment. Um, Again, long story that I'm going to skip most of. Family gets connected with him, takes him in. He ends up going to Columbia undergrad, uh, Harvard School of Public Health for his master's, and he dropped out of Dartmouth Medical School to start Village Health Works. So he came from like a lot of challenges and then trauma on top of that. And then what he did with that was decide to use it as an inspiration to turn around his whole country. This is a place which was the Belgian colony, and the colonization really led to a great deal of miseducation culturally, a loss of history and culture. Burundian history is not taught to Burundians.
Wow.
Kirundi, the language, is not taught to Burundians. They're taught French, unless you're, pretty remote. Um, they're taught, not taught. There's a a passed down tradition of farming one thing, which is cassava, which it was an artifact of the Belgians. This entire divide between Hutus and Tutsis that led to the civil wars in both Rwanda and Burundi is a fiction. That was a class distinction from the ancient times that was twisted by the colonists to pit one oppressed group
Yeah.
against the other, as happens everywhere. It happened in India. It happens everywhere. It happens in America, right?
Yeah.
Why we have gangs. It's not because the black kid in this block hates the black kid in that block inherently.
Yeah.
Something happened in there. Um, so anyway, he took what he came from and turned it into an incredible force for good, which really is a method that can be translated to any oppressed, multi-generationally impoverished community and end that incredibly difficult cycle to end. It's a very powerful thing that they're doing. I had no connection to Africa, no personal connection to Africa. I didn't have any heart specifically for Africa, but what I saw was that they were doing things in a way that I could really align with, that they're treating the poor not as people who just you need to drop in solutions for them, but rather include them in their own uplifting. And so this community is incredible. Actually set to go visit them I leave tomorrow morning to go visit for the first time. I've never been to Africa at all, much less to Burundi. So
You have to share all the video you can in our Telegram.
yeah, I'll be writing a travel log for sure. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly what else I'll be able to do, but yeah, I'm very excited to go and see because everything I know and have heard, it's an incredible community. What they've done for themselves,
Yeah.
given just a little bit of outside help, has been really spectacular.
Can how did you guys I guess you guys just like had a really great relationship and saw like the benefit of like the passion that you guys both had in making this happen, because so much help needs to be like over here in the United States as well to help drum up support and fund
Yeah.
what's going on. And what stage is the hospital at right now?
Yeah, so the campus overall is quite an expansive thing. The hospital is pretty much the crown jewel, but it's also just one part of many. So the hospital is a 150 bed teaching hospital. Construction is effectively complete. So with a bit of extra funding, it's ready to actually open and operate,
Yeah.
which is going to change the game in the entire nation of Burundi's healthcare system. And this is also a teaching hospital, as I said, so it's building capacity. We're training doctors, training nurses who can then go out to the clinics in other villages where they may not have such an amazing facility, but at least can provide the right kind of care in the settings they have. So it's a very powerful piece of the puzzle. And it's also coming back to the point about dignity and treating the poor with the respect that all humans deserve. It's saying like, yeah, we're building a hospital in a random village that didn't have a road leading to it up until this organization came into the picture. But why not for those people over there? Like, are they less than these people over here? No, they're not any less. So yeah, they get a hospital and a really good one, and it's a teaching hospital.
Yeah.
So to me, it's an incredible accomplishment. The community really led the building of this hospital, and it's really lovely to expand the community with NFT Kids Club to designing other buildings. But just to give you a perspective, there's a boarding school. VHW Village Health Works also operates the local government school that had been there since before. There's an existing clinic, which was the original work of Village Health Works. They've got a hydroelectric power plant, solar power. They're installing a microgrid for proper storage and distribution of electricity. They built roads to the campus. They've actually built the buildings, literally fired bricks from mud and made bricks. The community did. And all of this has also led to a great deal of reconciliation. So there's four big sleeves of this work. There's healthcare, exemplified but not just by the hospital. There's education. There's reconciliation and community building, and then there's what we call economic opportunity. So there's co-ops that generate income for local people. There's farming co-ops, baking co-ops, fishing co-ops.
Nice.
There's learning skills in construction, electricity or electricianing, plumbing, etc. And so people are learning skills that can help them make a livelihood. It's a pretty expansive effort, and that's really what it takes, to tackle properly multi-generational poverty. It's a very hard problem.
Yeah, it just like in the name, it takes a village, like an entire ecosystem caring about one mission to really get things off the ground. And really excited to see that, expand and that plan seen and duplicated and, across the region and different parts of Africa that I know are just needing these kinds of services and understanding and compassion and project work and like training and all of those things that come about, especially with conserving traditions and the just natural plants and things that are just in so many ecosystems that get trashed and taken away by outsiders that come in, and then after they move out, it's hard to gain those things back when so much has just been destroyed and lost forever. So
That's right.
that's amazing, and so excited to hear of all the awesome things that you see and all the people that you meet out there. That should be really. How long are you going to be out there?
So it takes a while. I'm in Los Angeles, and
Oh, man.
it's something like more than 24 hours of travel time to go there, and a day and a half of travel time to come back. It's like 36 hours to come home. Um, so while I'm gone for like 9 or 10 days, I'm actually in the village for 6 or 7.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then traveling west.
yeah, yep.
Well, it'll be worth it. I know it.
It
Um,
totally will. Yep.
how did you get involved with Monty in the first place? How did you guys meet? And did he come to you about the idea with like, hey, we want to like do this to help raise money for this amazing project? Like this would be cool.
This is the most money story ever. I mean, the guy is such an incredible dude. So uh, I met Monty because I was introduced to him by mutual acquaintance like many years ago, probably 2008 or 9. And he was working at a high frequency trading shop um, doing that. My brother, we got to be friends, and we were friends for a couple of years, Monty and I. My brother, at some point, 2010-ish, ran a quant hedge fund and was looking for like a right hand on investment management, a chief investment officer, because he really didn't have someone that he thought could run the team. He had some really gifted technical people, but he didn't have like someone to oversee them and get the best out of them. And when he said what he wanted, I thought to myself, well, I know this guy. I know the person who fits this bill. So I introduced Monty and my brother. They hit it off. Monty ended up going to work there. My brother ended up leaving some time later, and Monty ended up spinning out the team that he was running to Blue Shift, the company he currently runs.
Very cool.
And Monty and I have stayed friends all along. He is a very unique individual. I mean, everyone's unique, but I don't mean it in that sort of throwaway way. I mean, he's like quite an interesting dude.
Yeah.
As a quick example, while he was at MIT triple majoring in math, finance, and physics, he was also doing rap battles in Boston.
Hilarious.
Yeah, and the guy is such a weirdo in such a good way.
Wow,
So
wow, just like amazing,
yeah,
it really takes a special person to do those things.
so he reaches out to me out of the blue the other day and says, "Hey, I have something for you, but I got to talk to you about something, but it's not work related." Because he knows that like when it's work, I only have so much bandwidth. Like if it's a work thing, is that can wait till like next week or something. Um, and he tells me this story, which I hope I get right, but the story goes a little like, so my kid's a Cub Scout. It's like the end of the year. I wanted to get them an ice cream truck that will cost $200. The scout troop was like, yeah, we can't really afford that. We're not doing that. And so we said, well, what if I do a fundraiser? And then they're like, sure. And this is where it gets very money. There's two parts of this that are very money. The first was, of course, he took a very straightforward thing that he could have done in 2 minutes and turned it into this really cool but much bigger thing, right? How long does it take to raise $200? Nothing. I mean, he could have just paid for it out of pocket. But the minute his head went to fundraiser, then it went to, well, then it's going to be a cool fundraiser, right? It's going to be something really awesome. And his kid loves Minecraft, so he decided it should involve Minecraft. And he's fascinated with crypto and NFTs, so he decided to sort of think, okay, well, we could mint kids' designs of whatever in Minecraft into NFTs and then raise money by auctioning those off or one way or another around that thing. And then his reason for talking to me was like, do you think VHW would be interested in having NFT Kids Club have its project, have its fundraiser focus on raising money for Village Healthworks via minting NFTs off of kids' Minecraft designs? I mean,
Right. Yeah.
uh, I was like, yep, I think we could be interested in that.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
yeah, it's just such a cool project.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that story. Yeah, he came up to me at Permissionless when we were hosting an event for women in Web3 from Amplify, the other company that I'm with.
Mhm.
And he was attending with another one of his colleagues, and he, was like, I've been thinking about this. Like, what do you think about this? And I was like, yeah, I just, like, would parents want kids to be involved in the blockchain? I'm like, well, kids are on Shark Tank every week on, like having their own business and successful, like successfully raising money and doing all these things and working with banks and like doing it all
Yep.
under the guise of parental supervision, of course. And there are already, like wallets for trust and things like that for kids. So
Yep.
kids are already getting involved in like understanding that Web3 mindset, that crypto mindset, that it's not going away, and to learn how to be part of it. It's like coding, like now
Yep.
the next generation of coders are all of these kids in the last 5 years and next 5 years that are coding, and like,
Yep.
they're being so well paid. They're like really understanding what's going on in the economy and like how to do smart contracts and create generative art. And I think just like having another avenue to create art and be able to sustain projects, sustain themselves, like new just abilities to do amazing social good and self good is just
Hmm.
really impactful. It's the same thing as standing outside and asking, for money if I'm a Girl Scout. It's just a different way of spending the time to do the things to do the good.
That's right.
And being able to hit all of them where everybody is, I think is really interesting. And I'm so glad that he came to me and chatted about it. And I was so happy to meet you in New York, virtually. But yeah, I was like, wow, like this is a really great project, some really exciting people in it. So that's great. Thank you for that. And only two more questions. So why is, I think we kind of already went over this before, but why is social impact, especially like, I'll kind of combine these last two with the youth. Why do you think that is so important? Not only that kids are helped by social good in these aspects, but just kids getting involved in social good, like with NFT Kids Club, that want to help to do things and want to see actionable change that they're able to provide. How do you feel about
Yeah.
this?
I mean, so I've met some, I have a 12-year-old son, so he's been
Nice.
through, a bunch of years of schooling, and I met lots of kids at parks, at his schools. Some of them really genuinely seem like bad eggs, but for the most part, I think children have incredible amounts of empathy and heart. And uh, to show them that they can use their skills to help people that they don't know, that they may never meet, but to do good for the sake of doing good.
Yeah.
I think that's very powerful in a kid's life. Um, I think it's incredibly important to model the behavior that we want to see. Now, look, I'm biased, right? I have a big um, this this big bent for justice for the poor. So that's my axe, right? Um, but I don't care what your axe is. Like if you're an environmentalist, you know, honestly, I think you're just a humanist then because the
Right.
environment's fine. It'll spit us out and it'll
Yeah.
replace us with something else. But humans are the ones and other animals won't be fine. Um, but in any case, if you're an environmentalist, get your kids or kids around you involved in that. Like anything that shows a kid that there's more to life than what's the next toy, what's the next game. It's not all fun, even as a kid. Like you
Yeah.
are a privileged person, you have the responsibility to use that privilege, and it's fun to do it. So to package this in this way, I don't know. It's hard to imagine how this could have been cooler, right? So you've got kids designing stuff that could turn into actual buildings on an actual campus in Burundi.
Yeah.
And that's going to raise a bunch of money to help open a hospital and provide life-saving and life-changing services to a community that deserves it just because they're a community.
Totally. And it's been a blessing like getting to talk to you, and I'm very excited about you going and seeing, this community that we're working to raise money for and being part of this amazing project. It's all serendipitous. I think all of us have come together for the right reason, and getting kids and parents involved is super imperative, and to part of this project's job as well is to onboard people into Web3 and make them see that it's not scary, as well as hooking up Village Health Works with companies such as the Giving Block that really help create addresses and wallets and things like that, so they can be directed money, and other people worldwide, if they have a project, can have them from a list and choose to help them in any of their initiatives. So it's really just exciting to go into Web3 and build something that is going to just help so many people and transpire into so many other communities being aided as well, and so many other people touched. So thanks for spending the time with me today. Can't wait to see more. Everybody please follow our Twitter at the NFT Kids Club, and we'll be posting updates and different things that Rishi sends, and any pictures and stuff, good things that we can try to snag over there. I know you'll be busy. But yeah, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.